I don't know how to intro.
What's the name of the podcast?
So let's go with Morbid Mondays was the original thing, right?
Okay, we're doing Morbid Mondays.
It's a great title. You had a podcast. You had a thing on TikTok called Morbid Mondays.
Yes.
That was about just morbid stuff in history. And I thought it would be a great idea to repick that up. And so I was going to do... you don't get to know our names. Fuck you. No, I'm kidding. I'm Brian. And you are?
Katya.
Katya. This is my friend Katya. And I figured what we do is we would tell stories where, like, I would tell you one week and you would tell me one another week. And that way we have, like, 2 weeks to find something. So this is the podcast, Morbid Mondays. And we were going to start with syphilis. So we just were having a warm-up conversation. Syphilis came about, and I started doing some research into syphilis. Found out that it's going to take a bit more time to really know what the fuck is going on with that. What I was going to do is...
medical records are difficult before, like...
Oh, yeah.
1900?
And specifically around syphilis, people were quiet because it was socially...
Well, yeah, venereal diseases in general were, like, super hush-hush. Like, you know, if you brought home the porn pox...
Yeah.
You were
100%.
Fucking disgraced.
Yeah, everybody's like, well, that guy's fucking. You know, like, that you can't hide that you're fucking. Because it was so hard to do really in-depth, like, to find a good, gross story that wasn't just talking about what syphilis does to you, I initially wanted to know about, like, how they fixed the holes in people's faces and stuff. But because people were so private... That's going to take a little bit more digging. What I found when I was just passing through, doing my thing, is that I fell across...
Your search history has to be nuts.
I'm on a watch list. I'm on a watch list.
So am I.
Almost certainly. And so, just a YouTube recommendation floated past my page. Let's start with this. It's July here in America, and we just passed Independence Day. How you feeling about America these days?
Oh, treason.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let the treason bell ring. Please.
And I have a second word for you, and, like, tell me, please, what comes to mind when I say these words.
Oh, dear. Today
we're going to be talking about the Love Canal.
Oh, no. No. Okay, so immediate word association, obviously because I have a filthy mind, I'm a romance writer, for those that don't know. So the Love Canal is a euphemism for fucking.
Yeah.
But also, like, immediate word association are those stupid love rides at carnivals.
Oh, with the little, like, the little swan that goes to the dark and gives you time away from people.
But, like, specifically, it's the Percy Jackson one in like the weird, like, amusement park built by Hephaestus to catch Aphrodite and Ares. Because I literally just read those again.
Oh, okay.
So that's why that's, like, fresh in my brain. But pray, go on, because I clearly missed the point.
So, today we're going to be talking about, and just because I have to make this joke, the dirtiest love canal it's ever been.
Oh. Oh, no.
And so let's start off.
Oh, no.
Let me make sure we're still recording. I want to make sure it's still going. Yes. All right.
Fuck.
We start our story in 1890.
Yes, I love 1890. So much is happening.
Yes, this is the time of crazy shit in America. Yeah. Mass industrialization. There's a lot of stuff going on. Robber barons are still very much a thing, but also, like, we're at the end period of, like, what was the Western expansion. This guy, his name's William T. Love, and he's a former railroad lawyer. He's kind of, like, gotten out of that.
Oh, we get a great start here.
He's a bit of a con man, right? He goes in and he builds cities. He gets plans for cities. He's a lawyer, so he can do this all legally. He gets investors. He starts building a city, and then he kind of just fucks off. So, like,
as they do.
Yeah, he just kind of absconds the money. He's going to do this about 50 times in his career.
So, like, do the cities actually get built?
So they do eventually get built, because the thing is that he does go through and he gets all the construction equipment and he lays out plans, And when he fucks off, the city kind of goes, well, we got plans. He does so much of the groundwork for these projects that it's not really clear if he truly is a con man, like if he started out as a con man, or if he was just kind of bad at his job. So here's what we've got, right? William T. Love, former lawyer, he's got this dream. He wants to build a utopian community, and he named this project Model City, because it's going to be his like city on a hill. It's a model city, right? And he's got a tract of land. He gets investment. He's very good at this. He's very good at going out and getting investment. And he's got a tract of land between Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. And so this is the Niagara Falls region. And he's going to build a canal. And it's going to link Lake Ontario and Lake Erie. And he's going to build a hydroelectric plant. Because his dream is to have a small community with jobs and houses and schools that's all driven from hydroelectric power. So that you can live in this community, have a job away from the smog of the city. No horses and all that other kind of shit. It's just, like as things are industrializing, he wants to build a little utopian community outside of New York.
Didn't they try this in Nevada?
They did, in many, many places, and he was probably involved. I hate to say that. He is everywhere. I mean, when you look at he just goes from state to state to state, and he does this, and it's not a bad idea. And so he's got this canal that runs between the shore and both of these two lakes. And he's going to move water, and this is also going to be a shipping lane between the Great Lakes region. And so people can make things inland, put it on a ship, go out of the canal. The canal will power a hydroelectric plant because this is on the downside of Niagara Falls. And then we hit a hiccup. The Panic of 1893 happens. Now, this is a lesser known thing, but it's going to be the greatest financial panic until the Great Depression. A lot of things happen here. President McKinley starts a foreign tariff. We're kind of going through that now. It causes prices to hike and a lot of economic stagnation. The gold rush stops. There's a run on the gold supply. There's a lot of talk about like because the money system is so up in the air and weird. There's a depletion of the gold reserves, which causes a panic. And they've hit a point where railroads don't need to be mass built anymore, and the government isn't just throwing money. Right. This is transcontinental is kind of linked in the early 1900s. Things are slowing down. So, like, you're getting a lot of things that are weakening the gold-backed dollar, right? Shit's kind of getting rough.
Isn't this also what started to trigger the unification of the monetary system? Like, rather than having,
this is
certifications from Virginia, you have just the USD.
Yeah, that kind of takes places in a lot of stages. This is probably around the time where you get the earliest inklings of a true FDIC, right? That's not going to come around for a while, but
that takes
I
don't know when that happened, actually. I just know that it was about this time.
This is during the foundation of the Federal Reserve. When that happens, that's when you truly get a standard of currency in the very real sense of that there is a bank that tells you how much cash goes in and cash goes out.
God, can you imagine how annoying it would be, especially in our con man traveler's life, going from state to state to state to state to state and having to stop at an exchange place.
So I will say
single place.
We're past that.
Okay.
So that largely ends at the end of the Civil War. Really before that, but
I thought so, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, post Civil War. Yeah, the greenback, the dollar that's your thing, unless you live, and so this might be what you're remembering, in a script town. So you could live in a factory town. They have their own currency.
Yeah,
that gets made illegal later. We don't do that anymore.
Wasn't Musk talking about doing that?
Yeah, he was. He mentioned it.
Fucking hell, fuck off.
Because now we have an unregulated currency in the form of Bitcoin.
Yep.
So that's the only thing that really allows that kind of behavior. We also have credit is more available than ever now because of cards and right now if you buy something on one of your favorite sites, they might give you cashback dollars.
Listen, I just discovered the other day that fucking Domino's is offering order now, pay later.
Yeah, everybody is.
Jesus Christ.
Everybody is. Make any purchase, it's a little drop down now where you can defer. It's quick interest turnover. And you can only really do that because the internet is so fast.
I know, but like it scares me. Like how
There's
many of
the
these
little
people...
alarm bell that's going off, right? About overextending your credit. So here's the thing, right? This depression.
Back on topic.
Back on topic.
Sorry.
This is going to happen. We both have ADHD.
So bad.
So.
Welcome to Ricochet Moments.
Yeah. This is going to hang in there, guys. We're going to get there. So by the time this money runs out, what he winds up with is a 60-foot wide, 3,000 foot long pit at the start of the what would be the main part of the canal that ships are kind of docking in.
I'm gonna dig a hole.
I'm gonna dig this big ass hole.
I think I've said that in Minecraft.
Most of the canal is kind of there in theory, but it's like a big giant ditch, and they're just kind of like, well, we'll fill that in. Like it doesn't really last. So houses initially. What ends up happening is that the municipality takes over, and this is outside of New York. New York is expanding rapidly. So from the time period of a little bit before the Civil War to like early 1900s, a fuck ton of Irish people are entering the country, and then a fuck ton of Italians, and then a fuck ton of other people, Polish people, and mass immigration is starting to move in through Ellis Island. That's not going to stop for a while.
Well, it's still
stopped. Kind of a thing, right? America's always been this way. So
it's on our tablet. Give us you're tired, you're sick, you're hungry.
Right. And that's what's going on, right? And so people are coming in, labor is cheap, and that means things are being built rapidly. Also, you need a place to put people.
Yeah.
Because one of America's big things is that we have a kind of social consciousness where we never want to be like Victorian England, where like people are on ropes sleeping in corners. That does happen at points in America, but we for whatever reason, people in this time were very, very much about coming together to not do that. So the money runs out.
Threw out our parent. We're trying not to be them.
Yeah, and then
just quote unquote.
The city of Niagara Falls ends up buying this land. Right, they have it by just because it's there. The money's run out. It's been like repoed. It's been gotten back by the city that no taxes are being paid.
Congratulations, foreclosure.
Yes, exactly. Right, companies are coming by, and that's how we know that Love's kind of a con man. When the people come up to pick all the construction equipment up, he's long gone.
Of course,
he's in like the Dakotas.
He's fucked off as soon as he realized. Oh, big ditch.
Yeah,
gotta go.
The financial crash hits, and he's like, "Fuck this, I'm out." Right. And so the municipality of Niagara City starts using the place as a landfill. Just a run-of-the-mill landfill. Just like most cities have a big hill somewhere where they dump trash and cover it up with clay. That's what's going on here. It's a great big ditch, and they're like, well, fuck, it's a big ditch. We don't have to dig a ditch.
Yeah.
Right? So let's go.
No.
Yeah, so this becomes the Niagara County area landfill. The financial crash happens in 1893. The earliest points of this municipality are in, like, where they're starting to use it as a landfill is in the 1920s. So it's been sitting there.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a mud pit for a little while.
Yeah.
I assume it's like, probably things get built there kind of in temporary situations. It's taken on water because it's in lowland, all that stuff. So it ends up in the 1920s, it ends up being a big landfill. But it doesn't stay there for long because these cities in the local areas are expanding around the same time as this financial collapse, and around the same time as the landfill is being built. There's also a bill that goes through to protect the Niagara River. So they don't want a canal anymore. Nobody's allowing that. You're not going to siphon from Niagara Falls. So that's all filled in, and communities have popped up around that filled in space. Only the initial part, the widest part of Love Canal, is still kind of there and is now being used initially as municipal dump and later as a semi-industrial dump. So and this goes on for a while. It stays a dump for a long time. In 1953, Love Canal was sold to the local school district for $1. It was facing the threat of eminent domain as communities were encroaching on it. And during this time, the canal had been covered with clay to seal it from any harmful substances and to flatten the land. No hydroelectric plant had been built, but plumbing, sewage, and ditches were laid along with the construction of the brand new school that would house around 400. That would educate around 400 students a year. So to some degree, Love's dream had kind of come to fruition. A community had started actually building on this land. Much different, but it's kind of like early Americana going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it really does seem like for at least some of these blue-collar families in the Niagara Falls regions that the American dream had kind of become manifest for them. And that's the end of the story. People are happy and everything's great and absolutely nothing is going to go to shit at this point.
You lying sack of shit.
I say in terrible, if you know what the Love Canal is, and people are listening to this, you have been cringing the whole time that we've been talking about other stuff. Because you're just like, how are they not talking about this?
So just to be clear, I do not know what this is. This is one of the parameters of this little podcast of ours is to make sure that the other person doesn't know what the topic is, which is difficult for us because we are
nerds.
Boy, howdy, those late night wiki rabbit holes. But anyway, so he got lucky. I have no idea what's coming. I presume some sort of awful disaster since it is spotlighted on Morbid Monday. But pray, go on.
By the 1970s, Love Canal was a popular suburb for families. It was close to the schools and churches, a few miles away from the city center, and an expressway, and this is kind of in the old canal vein. This has become a big road. So, like, expressway made it easy to get to the shops in other parts of cities. Because we're like borough style. We've got a lot of cities next to each other, right?
Mm-hmm. And fabulous hair.
Yes. This is like height of blue-collar America. There's a lot of film from this period. Most homes had young children. In 1976, Love Canal was even ranked as one of the best areas for social well-being. In total, 800 private homes and 240 low-income apartments were built. Before the disaster became public, developers planned to build even more homes. And in 1978, 410 children attended the local school. Heavy rainfall in the area. Now, remember I told you this is lowland.
Yeah.
Because of the big-ass fucking canal.
Flood.
Yeah. And we're off of a river, and we're next to the shore. It rains a lot in the Great Lakes regions or anything around the Great Lakes.
To be perfectly honest, we live on a coastal area,
and
so we are aware.
The time, right? Heavy rainfall would bring standing pools of water around the neighborhood, and children would play in the puddles like children often do. Started to report rashes on their hands.
No! Oh my god! The groundwater!
One day, there was a collapse, and a giant steel silo poked out of the corner. The city's response was to cover it in dirt, because there was no evidence that it was doing any harm to anyone. Nobody, other than the rashes, nobody was really, like, super concerned. And this can happen from, like, a number of things. You're playing in puddles, you could just have a bacterial infection, right?
Yeah.
So, people didn't give it a lot of note. Until 1977. A very bad winter storm dumped tons of snow, which significantly raised the water level underground. Residents became suspicious when black fluid flowed out of the Love Canal. Residents started to complain about chemical fumes coming from the basements, and people would invite each other over to their homes to see if they were, like, really getting this. One lady goes over, she's invited someone's home, and a person starts complaining. She says, smell the sump pump. So they have basements. This is up north, right? They've got basements, and chemical smell, like foul chemical odor, is coming out of the sump pumps. For those of y'all who don't live in an area that has these, a sump pump is it's a pump in your basement that removes water that comes in through the unsealed walls of your basement. And so this keeps the groundwater level lower artificially so that you can dig into the ground during times of, like, rain.
Those of us below sea level have no idea what that is.
Yeah, our area does not have them because we have a high water table, and we would just have an indoor pool if we had a basement.
Yeah, we live in a swamp.
Yeah. After this snow happens, there's a bit of erosion. The groundwater gets higher, and if you live in a very muddy area, you notice when it rains a lot, sometimes stuff that is in the mud gets pressed up.
Yeah.
Barrels start becoming visible.
Oh, no.
As people clear more and more land, and the weight of the housing and schools and all that stuff is being pressed down, and this water level is so high, people start seeing metal silos and barrels sticking out of the dirt. Many have been corroded to the point to where they are open.
Oh, God. So did any of these people know that it used to, like, basically be a trash dump? Like
they
a
knew
landfill?
they knew it was a trash dump. But we're gonna get into that. So
Someone call Aaron Brockovich, please.
yeah. In a very similar vein, a local reporter wrote a story about this later on. But so the smell is really bad.
I would imagine.
People start to start actively smelling it wherever they go. Some of the puddles are seen with a blue goo in them, and there are like foam coming out of people's sump pumps.
Oh.
This is where we kind of begin.
Time to move.
Yeah, right after this snow. But here's the problem. These are all blue-collar communities. They don't have any money.
Yeah.
And this is like 1970s is tight, right? I'm going to read you a quote. After we lived at Love Canal for a year, said former resident Lois Gibbs, my son Michael started getting sick. So first it was like asthma, and then it was a urinary disorder. Michael experienced his first grand mal seizure once he started attending the school built atop the landfill. The pediatrician had no answer. She remembered the only answer he could give us is, well, God knows you're a caring mom, and he gave you a sickly kid because he knew you'd be able to take care of it. And I'm like, no, God gave me a healthy child. Something else is wrong here, and I don't know what it is. So this is where I really want to emphasize. No one knows what's happening. They don't know what's in these barrels. They don't know what's in the thing. No one, like the big silo in the ground, city is dumping clay over. Because typically speaking, when you have toxic material in the ground, you dig a big clay pit and you line it. And then you put the stuff and then you cover it up.
And it seals it. Keeps it from getting into the water table.
Keeps it from getting into the water table. But they would find out, as the stuff is resurfacing, that this hole has been breached several times while the city was laying its sewage and plumbing lines.
Oh my god. No!
Everybody had a story to tell. This is another one from Lewis Gibbs. Lewis Gibbs is going to become a central figure in this.
I should hope so. It sounds like he's there. They are the whistleblower.
So it's a young woman with a couple of kids. She's the leader here, and she's the one getting interviewed a lot. So we've got a lot from her. Everybody had a story to tell. People would take me into their basements, and they'd show me the black ooze coming through the wall. They would take me down to their sump pumps, and say, smell it. It smells like chemicals. Women would talk to me about miscarriages and stillborns and babies with birth defects. According to the United States Environmental Protection Agency, in 1979, residents exhibited a disturbingly high rate of miscarriages. Love Canal can now be added to the growing list of environmental disasters involving toxics, ranging from industrial workers stricken by nervous disorders and cancers to the discovery of toxic materials in the milk of nursing mothers.
Oh, God, because it was in the water. They were bathing in it. They were drinking in it. They were cooking with it.
Everywhere. Now, here's where I'm going to take a backtrack through history, right? Remember, in the 1920s, we became a dump, right? We became a municipal dump. And for those of you who have seen municipal dumps, this is not the worst. Mostly, these are self-contained things. It's not really a horror story. It's not the horror story it's about to become. So here's where we're going to talk about the Hooker Chemical Company and the use of the canal.
That's a name?
That is the name. The Hooker Chemical Company is going to become our big villain of the day. 1940s through 1952. By the late 1940s, the Hooker Chemical Company needed a place to get rid of its large amount of chemical waste. By large, I'm going to go ahead and give you a sneak preview. They mean 20 to 22,000 short tons of chemical waste.
Oh.
Mostly stored in 55-gallon U.S. drums, but some in very large, long, 70-foot steel containers, which is what we see sticking out of the ground.
Silo.
Yeah. So
I'm presuming that they just snuck it in, like they didn't get permits or anything.
Oh, it's so much worse.
Oh no!
All right, so in 1942, the Niagara Power and Development Company allowed Hooker to dump waste into the canal. Hooker drained the canal and lined it with thick clay. So they did initially do what you're supposed to do, and they capped it. When they sold the land to the school board
For $1.
for $1, that should have been that's a sign, right?
Red flag.
Yeah,
Ka-chock.
big red flag. They capped the top of it, right? They capped the top of it with clay. They had no intention of it being damaged, so they say. By 1952, Hooker stopped using Love Canal as a dump. This was because it looked like the area would be used for building homes. Over 10 years, the landfill received about 21,800 short tons, which they differentiate from metric tons, which is still about 20,000, so it's but of chemicals. These were mostly byproducts like acids, alkalis, and chlorinated hydrocarbons from making dyes, perfumes, and plastics. These chemicals were buried about 20 to 25 feet deep below the soil. When the dump closed, it was covered with a clay seal to stop leaks. Over time, plants started growing on top of the dump, so no one could really tell the sheer volume. By the 1950s, Niagara Falls was growing fast. Niagara Falls City District needed money for schools, and this is where our school thing pops in. The city at this point has about 100,000 people in it. Now, that's not Love Canal. Love Canal is a neighborhood. The whole city of Niagara Falls. Here's where shit gets fucked. Right? Just saying this, like, really honestly. This is where shit gets fucked. Because first, before going into what chemicals we're dealing with, I want to tell you about how that $1 deal worked. Now, there's a guy named, I'm going to fuck this up. It's a Swedish name, I think. Bjarne Clausen. Bjarne Clausen is Hooker's vice president. He wrote that it might be smart to stop using Love Canal as a dump because homes were being built nearby. Now, that might lead you to think, okay, Clausen's going, like, people are getting a little too close. We need to stop using this as a dump. Let's cap it off. That it's going to get dangerous, right? But Clausen's a shithead. So
I was about to say.
In 1952, this is, by the way, I'm citing a encyclopedia and then a couple of other things. Some writings are going to be directly from the EPA. Some of these writings are going to be from the actual guy that did the chemical surveys. Clausen suggested selling the land could protect them from future problems. He wrote that a school could be built in the middle.
What a fuck.
Empty part of the canal with the chemicals underground. See, because nobody would be digging. He thought it would be a good idea to give the property to the schools, as long as Hooker wouldn't be responsible for future claims or damages for the buried chemicals.
So they fucking knew.
They knew. Hooker agreed to sell the land to the school board for $1. However, Hooker's letter said that because of how the property had been used, special rules would be needed in the deed. The school board refused Hooker's idea, and the land should only be used for a park, with the school built nearby. To avoid responsibility, the sale document, signed April 28th, included a long warning. It said the school board knew that the land was filled with chemical waste. It also stated that the school board would take all risk and liability and could never sue Hooker for injuries or damages caused by the waste.
Red flag number 2!
Yes.
They just shirked all the responsibility after telling them they did some shady shit there.
And so here's something that needs to be said, right? Hooker is doing this illegally.
Well,
right?
yeah.
They're
obviously.
dumping legally to some degree. The school board buys it above board, knowing that something is in the ground. They buy it for $1, and they essentially sign an NDA, which says they can't.
It's a gag order.
Yeah, they can't talk about it.
They can't talk about it. They can't sue them for any sort of anything that happens related to that.
Yeah.
Like, and also, it kind of sounds like there was probably something in the well, no, they vetoed that. Never mind.
Yeah, initially. So this article that I'm reading from does kind of a bad job explaining this. But what happens is that Hooker sells them the land. They said there's chemicals underground. You can build a school on top of it, but they don't want houses built there. And they don't want houses built there because of the water lines.
And they don't want to dig.
They don't want to dig. Right? They just want to put something on top of it that's going to be a hard concrete structure.
Yeah.
Right? Theoretically, this is maybe even a good idea, except for that's not how settling works.
Yeah.
Because remember, we're right next to a shoreline. I need to emphasize this. We are right next to a shoreline in between two very large lakes, and there's a river that runs through a section north of here. the Niagara River, in fact. So, like, whenever I'm reading the story, I keep having to remind myself of that. Is that we're not talking about a country, like a place in the middle of a field. We are surrounded by groundwater.
Yeah, they're not like
large
inverted or
amounts of groundwater. Right. So Clausen is a big part of this. Clausen actively knows this is going to become a problem. This is him being the vice president of like a multinational chemical company and being an absolute fucking bastard. So he signs this off. It is a gag order. They can't talk to people about this. The school board itself can't talk to people about this. And I think in the school board's mind, when they hear like chemical dumping, don't grow things here. We don't want to like grow crops here. We don't want water lines to go through the capped part. That kind of shit.
I guess in my mind, it raises more alarm bells simply because of like the proximity that I grew up in with like Dow.
Yes.
Like,
you grew up in an area where you know the dangers,
yeah.
right? You know what these things can do. They don't.
Oh my
So
god.
this is right. The chemical company moves after this point.
I would fucking imagine so.
But they've been gone, right? Business dries up, they move. They actually become another company and move to a different location. This is a tactic that corporations use to avoid litigation, is that they basically kill themselves and then are resurrected as another business. So there's a lot of shit with this, right? Soon after taking control, the school board started building on the land. This construction work damaged the clay layers that were supposed to hold the chemicals in. So we're fucked from the start. It's not even... I read earlier that like the plumbing and all that had kind of pierced these layers. That is true. When they come to dig this foundation for a school, they're moving backhoes onto this. And they're just digging out earth. So it was 20 feet below. But they built, when you look at schematics of this, the clay cap rises out of the ground like a dome. Mm-hmm. So they're digging this flat. Mm. They're removing feet of clay coverage. And then down further to build a foundation. So we've probably knocked off like 7 to 10 feet of clay from the cap of these chemicals. Now, I'm going to get into some of the horror stories of what happens, and oh my god! But first, I want to hit a couple of other things, because I want to talk about the chemicals that are here, what they're actually running into. Now
we have black ooze, blue ooze, foam, and a general sort of chemical smell
that's fucking everywhere. The Wikipedia article on Love Canal lists the EPA's list of chemicals that were found. We will be familiar with these, but I feel I'm going to have to explain, for anybody listening to, I'm going to have to explain what these are. We grew up in a chemical plant rich area, so some of these names are very familiar to us.
Yeah.
Most people don't live in a cancer dome, so... so
hey, but it protects us from hurricanes.
It does. We have a crazy weather effect here where rain just kind of splits around the city. I'm sure that's not going to cause any problems.
No, of course not. And global warming's a lie. Anyway.
So here's a short list. Benzene, chloroform.
Oh my god.
Chloroform, that's right. Tetrachloride.
Does it smell like chloroform to you?
Toluene. Toluene, for people who don't know, is a chemical that was largely used to clean parts. It was so effective that if you had a wrench covered in oil, you could dip that wrench in toluene and it would come out clean.
Sparkly clean.
Highly carcinogenic, which is why you don't know what it is, because they don't sell it anymore outside of industrial supply. Dioxins, a lot of dioxins. So many fucking dioxins. And methylene chloride, which is deadly in parts per million.
I'm sorry, you guys can't see this, but my jaw just like dropped open and stayed there.
Yes.
Holy shit.
A lot of these chemicals are used for stripping things and in chemical processes for plastics and dyes.
Oh my god.
Benzene specifically just strips the shit out of stuff. And it has safer forms, but benzene is like super carcinogenic and caustic, and it's not good to be around. When the alarms go off in our area, and then like so it's usually for chlorine.
Yeah, our latest one was a chlorine leak.
Yeah, and then they go whoomp, and they tell everybody to stay indoors and cut off your like
Turn off the AC.
Turn off your
Turn off the
ACs.
fans. Like, seal all of your windows. Put towels at the door.
Yeah.
Like, this is what the city sent out, 2-3 weeks ago?
Yeah. Benzene will over text message, which we all got late. Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Most of us have contacts in the plant, so we already knew what was happening.
Yeah, and you can hear if there's an explosion.
Yeah.
Benzene is just dangerous, period. Some of these chemicals that I'm reading off are dangerous in the parts per trillion.
No.
Right, that's what you would expect. A chemical leak may have happened. We're going to look at an area. We're going to find parts per trillion in the soil. That's the, acceptable range. You find parts per trillion, you might need to do some cleanup, but it's not going to hurt anyone.
Yeah.
Many of these things are found in parts per billion, which means the concentration is 1,000 times stronger than a mild chemical cleanup.
And they built a whole goddamn town on top of that.
Yes, a rapidly growing baby boomer town. So children are way more affected by this kind of shit than adults, because adults have already matured, and we've got, fully functioning organs and all that other shit, right? There's no development going on.
Yeah.
Carcinogens are still obviously an issue for cancer, but you're not developing, so you don't have the risk of birth defects. Now, I mentioned birth defects earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in one of these articles, there are a lady mentions that in her town they've had 5 miscarriages, and the guy, and he goes, well, there's only been 5 miscarriages, and he's writing in his report, and a guy tells him, he goes, when you write your report, don't say only 5. We're a very small community. 5 is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Because we're talking in a year. It's a very small, this is a school, a multi-level school, so this is like little towns that have schools that go from like elementary to high school.
Yeah.
The whole school is 400 children. This is a very small community.
Well, and it's also 1977. So
yeah,
we now, in a modern age, I guess, in 2025, we are used to towns being near 1 million population.
Right. Yeah, they might have a good-sized town in Texas might have 100,000 people in it, just like Niagara Falls. But your communities, your interlocking communities, still, our small little communities that we live around, still have between 15 and 40,000 people.
You're looking at a community of maybe 10?
Yeah. This area probably, because of the time period, if you don't count babies, you're just counting adults and families, you're probably only talking about a few thousand people.
Oh my god. So
these people.
So these are the podunk communities that we see on TV, that everybody knows everybody and everybody knows your name.
Yeah. Yeah, this is
hang on, I'm actually looking up the population of Love Canal.
Yeah. We can be pretty safe to assume, because of the amount of houses there were. So the amount of houses that I think I said at the beginning was 800 private homes, 240 low income. So if each one of those houses has, let's say, three to 4 people, that's pretty common for that time period.
So you're looking at a population of about 3,000-4,000.
Yeah, it's pretty small.
It's very small.
The low income apartments are going to be largely single workers, some parents, but
and 5 miscarriages.
Yeah.
Jeez.
In the span of that's in this meeting, we've had 5 miscarriages in the town. So I'm going to read you a quote. This is where I stopped from the quotes earlier about the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, their investigation in 1979. In one case, 2 out of 4 children in a single Love Canal family had birth defects. One girl was born deaf and with a cleft palate and an extra row of teeth.
I wonder how much of that is, I'm probably going to use this phrase incorrectly, but generational exposure.
Almost certainly. I mean, these people would have been conceived.
Yeah.
And born and raised into not necessarily their parents, but their parents have probably been here for 5 years, then had a kid. So.
And it would have been both parents too, more than likely.
Yeah, and in the article it says, and the boy was born with an eye defect. Now, when they say an eye defect, that kind of sounds like he was didn't have great vision in one eye.
Yeah, maybe he was blind,
or
it
was cloudy.
Maybe it was
misshapen. Yeah, we're talking more on the misshapen line.
Oh no.
When you see, so there are very few pictures of this.
I would imagine.
Probably because people just don't want that in the public.
Yeah.
But from a lot of the accounts that I've read, it really seems more like there are people born with a lot of facial deformities. Mm-hmm. And I want to highlight the thing that I just read, and an extra row of teeth.
Yeah, that's something straight out of a horror movie.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen the skeletal structure of a cleft palate?
Yeah, where the teeth are kind of arching into a center point.
And, like, it's, if they meet in the middle, there is and most of the time they don't, there is a gap between, like, basically where the roof of your mouth should be and your sinus cavity.
Yeah.
And so, like, it is looking at an x-ray of an infant with a cleft palate or remains, it is kind of horrifying to see that, because it is just a gaping hole where there should be a face.
Yeah. And so, like, if you're looking
on an x-ray
when
perspective,
you're seeing a hollow spot.
Yeah.
So here's what I think's going on with this particular child, because you just kind of touched on it, right? Mm-hmm. In a cleft palate, there's kind of a hollow space, right, where it should be connected and everything should be, like, flat, and there should be a soft palate, a hard palate, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think what you're actually seeing is her baby teeth and her adult teeth.
That's what I was thinking, too.
On the outside of her skull.
Because you are born with your adult teeth. Like, have you ever seen a baby's x-ray?
Yeah,
like,
how
just
they
in general?
have, like...
it's nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
Like, they're just made of teeth.
So it's you're seeing that, but you're seeing it on the outside, like Baraka, like a little bit. So, and this is not to be, like, demeaning or making fun of these kids in any way. It's just to point out how fucking horrible this is. Many of these kids do pass away. There's a lot of child mortality. And one anecdotal source that I read said that there were 300 people. Remember, this is a community of a few thousand people, right? It's not ever going to be bigger than, say, 5,000-6,000 people. That there were 300 miscarriages. Mm-hmm. Now, I said 5 earlier, right? Because that the guy at the very beginning that's reporting medical data. So this is people have gone to a hospital. But most people don't go to a hospital for miscarriages. Most people don't know they're pregnant when they have one.
Yeah.
So when people start coming out and they're, like, telling about all the things that have happened to them, seizures are everywhere. This is going to be kind of hard to show to tell rather. But I want to show you a map that somebody laid out. And all of these red dots are instances of contamination and health problems.
Whoa.
So what we're seeing is a layout of the city blocks around Black Creek Drive. This whole community is a couple of streets. It's not very big at all.
Dude, we could walk this.
You could very easily walk this. This whole place is the canal was never more than a square mile.
Yeah.
This is a city block, right? This is a couple of city blocks.
Not to quote my father or anything, but walking uphill both ways to and from school.
Yeah, you've got the river is up here. You've got the shoreline. This is the expressway right there that you see. Probably 1 in every 10 houses has a reported health effect. People have asthma. They've got seizures. They've got burns on them. They've got birth defects. They've got miscarriages. They've got people being born blind.
I'm surprised to hear about the seizures because, like, speaking from a medical standpoint, seizures are your first, like, red flag.
Oh, of like, poisoning, basically.
Of like something is seriously wrong.
And so this is where the news starts getting involved, right? So the lady that I was talking about earlier that's kind of like the PTA and housing authority kind of head, she's going out and she's talking to people. She goes and she starts interviewing a bunch of people, and she wants to get, like, things, what are they saying, what's happening in your neighborhood. Here's another quote. We were at my house one night, and we were, like, putting these things together, pen and map, right? Red is for miscarriages, blue is for cancer, and we realized that, oh my gosh, some of these things are really clustered, like epilepsy around my house and birth defects over there. This is from Luis Gibbs. The numbers didn't make any sense to us. That was all Greek to us. We had no clue what these numbers were. They'd say, like, you had benzene and toluene and trichloroethene and all these enes and parts per million and billion, and we were just plain old folks not knowing what the whole thing was all about. they really blindsided us. That's Debbie Cerrillo. We started doing an inventory of toxic sites all over the country. And when we did this, we found that many sites, thousands of sites of all kinds, some close to homes, some not as close, but we had them out there and nobody was doing anything about them. Charles Warren, former regional administrator of the EPA. So the EPA gets involved. There's a news story that breaks on like public channel news, and they start doing, guys come out and they start testing, and they are finding shit everywhere. It's not just the school, it's under people's homes. It is well outside of the bounds of the canal because that snow happened. It raised the water level and it pushes these chemicals all over the place.
Far and fucking wide.
I read one like childhood anecdotal story where they were playing a game where they were taking each other prisoner, and they were like, execute the prisoner, throw him in the blue goo.
Oh.
And then the one kid goes, that looks like my mom said that's poison. And he goes, well, it hasn't killed any of us. So like kids are playing in this shit and they can't move. And whenever there's puddles of stagnant water, those puddles are toxinous. They have chemicals that will absolutely give you cancer. If you were to like sit there breathing them, they would destroy lung tissue.
Oh my god.
And there was like no fucking recourse for this whatsoever. When we go back,
Jesus.
After the EPA moves in, they start digging up shit everywhere. They're taking all these points. They're trying to get people moved up. There becomes a level at which the president at the time, who's Jimmy Carter, steps in and declares it in a state of emergency. So that's like the foot has been put down, right? We're going to get these people out. There's going to be funding. We're going to get them somewhere. They can't stay here. And he starts what will become, and for those of y'all who are like have had any like environmental history, you will definitely have heard of this. This is the first instance of what is called the Superfund. Now, we know probably what the Superfund is because it affects our area all the time.
Yep.
The Superfund is a massive investment from the government, and what it does is it goes through and it cleans up industrial sites. The site around Love Canal takes 20 years to make safe.
Oh my god.
This is the epicenter. This is what starts the Superfund Act. The first one. When you look at a map of the Superfund, there is a cluster in New York and a cluster south of New York.
They finished where the river's in the 90s?
Yes. You can still, to this day, when you go on the internet, you can find pictures of a fenced-off Love Canal community with boarded-up homes and shit. And they're starting to sell homes in Love Canal.
You're joking.
You can get a home in Love Canal.
Absolutely the fuck not. No. I didn't. No. What?
It's been determined that most of the site is safe.
Oh, most.
Of course.
Good enough. Most.
There are still parts that are definitely not safe. Oh my god. I'm gonna pull up some stuff real quick so that I can tell you a little bit about the federal response. This is all the way into 2004, by the way. Because the way that these are handled is they're done in like rings, right? You know where the epicenter is, and then so you start from the outside. Because it may be that the center is too bad, and that you just have to wall it off, right? This is the case of places that have like radiation in them. Yeah. They're just like, nope, and then just wall them off. Or they literally take the dirt out, and they transform it, like they move it. They move the dirt to a place that they can just, like a salt dome, that they can just dump it in until it's, like, forever? Yeah, because nothing's going to grow there anyways, right? Like, it's a salt dome. So, like...
Oh my fucking god.
This is from the Wikipedia article that is cited from Bloom, 2008. On August 7th, 1978, United States President Jimmy Carter announced the federal health emergency, called for an allocation of federal funds in order the Federal Disaster Assistance Agency to assist the city of Niagara Falls to remedy the Love Canal site. This was the first time in American history that emergency funds were used for a situation other than natural disasters. Oh, God. That's how fucking big this is. No one was ready for this. All right? Carter had trenches built that would transport the waste to sewers, and had home sump pumps sealed off the sewer lines and the waste canals that were underneath. So they dug trenches to keep that shit from flowing into any of the water supplies.
Oh my god.
Congress passed the Comprehensive Environmental Response and Compensation and Liability Act, called CERCLA, better known as the Superfund Act. Love Canal became the first entry on the list. CERCLA created a tax on chemical and petroleum industries and provided a broad federal authority to respond directly to releases to threatened releases of hazardous substances that may endanger public health or the environment. CERCLA also created a national priorities list, a short list of the sites that has priority in cleanup. And so, like, the more dangerous, the higher you are on the list. When I say people weren't ready, the stuff that has been around our entire life of, like, there's a chlorine spill, and then these guys in yellow hazmat suits showed up, that's those guys.
Whoa.
They don't exist at this point in history.
So this is why they exist.
This is why they exist.
Oh my god.
Because there's children with extra rows of fucking teeth. Dude, there's a kid with a giant eyeball. Like, there's kids walking around with, like, chemical burns on their bodies because it, like, rained and they had to walk through a puddle. The air is acrid.
That's insane.
And
they're selling houses there now.
And yes, the river, because it's a canal, right? The canal, I may have a hard time, like, really, really getting this through. The canal was dry. It was capped off with clay. So when that snowfall happens, it is oozing black goo from the ground. You walked outside and the earth was bleeding. You know what I mean? Like, it was bleeding acrid, nasty, chemical black sludge.
Oh my god. And they're selling houses there now.
Houses.
No.
I want to look up, because I have yet to do this.
So Zillow.
Yes, we're gonna Zillow in Love Canal.
Love Canal neighborhood in Niagara Falls, New York.
How much is a house to
Your
live
wife just messaged me
in the epicenter of the worst fucking chemical disaster of its age?
3-bedroom, 1-bath, 942 square feet. 149,900
in Niagara Falls. You can't buy a house for that here.
Texas has one of the lowest, like, cost of livings.
It's a small place. Don't get me wrong. Like, compared to
a lot
of places,
it looks really cute.
What are we looking like here? Because I want to get the era. Oh my god, this era of construction is from that time period.
It's the 70s.
Is it the same fucking house?
I think it might be, because it doesn't look like it's new construction. Like, looking at it, like, you can see the weathering on the roof. There's
it's got, like, the frill, the gables that, like, 1970s houses, and the little, like, iron.
Yeah,
the
like
iron,
my nan's house has.
Yeah, like at the steps, because it's on pier and beam. It's got the little iron, like, guide rail so you don't fall off the steps.
This is horrifying.
I wonder if you went into the basement if you could still see the sludge.
And they are selling this house. They are selling these houses. I want you to understand that. What?
Oh, okay. Here we go. All right, I'm looking at the basement. This is where the nightmares would have taken place. It has been completely sealed with concrete. It's like a linoleum basement, so, like, it's been capped entirely off. But I bet if you bought one of these, and also, like, look at the HVAC. The HVAC is all brand new.
Yeah.
So they've gutted this place. But I bet if you bought one of these houses, so in our area, because our construction was largely in the 1940s and 50s, if you rent from an old apartment or buy a house, you have to sign a thing that tells you that you know that there used to be lead in the paint in the walls. And I bet if you buy one of those, you have to sign a fucking waiver. The fucking wood has scars in it, though. You know what I mean? Like, you're just like, oh my god.
What is this wallpaper? Anyway.
So we've had a lot of villains, right? And we've had, like, one hero so far. So
what was her name? Lois?
Yeah.
Lois?
Yeah, Lois is the she's the lady going around talking to everybody, right?
There's always a Lois.
Yeah, there's always a Lois. And so she's one of our big heroes, because she goes around and she really makes sure the press knows. So there are photos of Lois. Lois's kid is on the side of the road with, like, signs that say, like, will I make it to 7 years old?
Oh,
because,
Jesus.
like, kids are dying, right? Like,
well, yeah.
kids are dying in this community.
Now this was also back in the era of like, you sent your kid out to play after school and they came home when the streetlights came on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we were the tail end of that.
Yeah, they were actively like playing in the ditches, right? Like in these ditches. Here's our other kind of hero. His name is Eckhart C. Beck. Eckhart Beck is the EPA administrator for Region 2 from 1977 to 79. He visits Love Canal in the late 70s. He discerned the presence of toxic substances in the community. So everything that I've read so far about like what chemicals were in the ground, the testing and all that other stuff, he's the guy on top of it. He's the guy that comes in. He kind of heads this along with a person named Robert Whalen, which is the New York health commissioner. And they go around and they try to actually like cover, do what they need to do, right? As far as I know, they are two guys that are actually very much trying to solve this problem. And continue to be on the case for a long time. In 1994, federal district judge John Curtin ruled that the Hooker Occidental, so that they get bought out, right? They get bought out by something called Occidental, had been negligent but not reckless in its handling of waste and sale of the land of the Niagara Falls School Board. Curtin's decision also contains a detailed history of events leading up to the Love Canal disaster. Occidental Petroleum was sued by the EPA in 1995 and agreed to pay $129 million in restitutions.
And this was in 1929?
No. This is much later. Because remember, all this is taking place in the 70s. This is in 1995.
Okay, so $120 million in 1995 is...
a couple $100 million today.
Yeah.
Out of that federal lawsuit came money for a small health fund of $3.5 million for the state health study. Residents' lawsuits were also settled in the years following the Love Canal disaster. So there is some amount of backlash. But the guys that did all this, right? This is an important part. This is a big takeaway from all this. They are not held criminally liable for anything.
Of course.
Because remember, everything they did was legal.
Oh, yeah.
So,
they got him with that NDA.
Yeah, they were negligent, but not reckless. So negligent but this is a civil suit. This is a court civil suit. Houses in the residential areas on the east and west sides of the canal were demolished. All that remains on the west side are abandoned residential streets, except for that house we just saw. Some older east side construction. Some older east side residents whose houses stand alone in the demolished neighborhood chose to stay. It was estimated that fewer than 90 of the original 900 families opted to remain. They are willing to remain as long as they were guaranteed that their homes were in a relatively safe area. On June 4th, 1980, the state government founded the Love Canal Revitalization Agency, or LCARA, to restore the area. The area north of Love Canal became known as Black Creek Village. This is where I remind everybody that the fucking lake bed was dry. It was a dry canal, and black ooze came out of... No, there is a actual creek called the Black Creek in the area. But it's just the fucking irony. You can't write that. Dude, that's so good. El Cara wanted to resell 300 homes that had been bought by New York when the residents were relocated. The homes are farther away from where the chemicals were dumped. The most toxic area of 16 acres was reburied with a thick plastic liner, clay and dirt, 7 feet 10 inches on each side. High barbed wire fence was installed around the area, and has been calculated that 248 separate chemicals, including 60 kilograms of dioxins, have been unearthed from the canal. So it is kind of thought to be safe, but the house that we just looked at was probably one of the original 90 that were still there.
It looks like it. It looks very, very, very dated. And I'm trying to find its construction, because when we bought our house, I was absolutely filtering houses by when they were built.
Yeah.
For reasons previously stated. Lead paint. Shuddy, don't play that. Listen, I live with two dudes, and one of them's not very smart sometimes. I would not put it past him to lick the walls as a joke. So,
I'm going to give you a bright spot out of this horrible situation that probably killed tens of children and caused at least 300 miscarriages, and everybody's got cancer, and there's a kid, again.
Literally, everyone has cancer.
Yeah, there's a child. I really need to emphasize this. With a second row of teeth. There's no getting around that. You know what I mean? Like, there's black sludge coming from the ground. There's kids with extra teeth. There's kids covered in chemical burns. Hair's falling out. Guys have giant eyes. Everybody's got cancer. Fuck. Let's stop for just a moment. Very recently in the political history, there has been a lot of discussion about defunding the EPA. Ugh. All the EPA does is get in our way and we can't make profits, blah, 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 blah. Let me give you a quick history rundown of why the EPA was made. There is something, if you are listening to this, please Google the Ohio River fire. You didn't hear me wrong. There was so much shit in the river outside of Cleveland, Ohio, that the river caught on fire. And they couldn't do anything about it. Why? Because what do you do when water's burning? When the water is burning, you can't put water on it. It'll just burn. How do you do that? So,
take a moment to let that sink in. The water was on fire.
And that's not the only time. This would happen several times. And the EPA was essentially founded to clean that river up. God. So the EPA is crazy important. And when we talk about Love Canal, this is in the city of Niagara Falls, right? Imagine the Niagara Falls and all that water that's moving around. It's on the coast of a big, huge lake. This definitely got into the water system. Like, there's no doubt about no this. Question. This blew the fucking banks, right? And when you look at a map of the Superfund... And it probably spent
years seeping into it because, I mean...
Well, from the 1950s.
Yeah.
Right? Like, from the late 1940s. And when you look at the Superfund, I'm going to show you a map of the Superfund. Okay? And we're going to concentrate around New York. And then we're going to see most rivers flow south. So there's a lot of dead spots around like Nevada and Colorado, but that's because there ain't shit there, right? And also because that's where you put shit that you don't want to seep into the ground. Because it's salt and dense rock or sulfur domes. These are places where you can put stuff and no one's drinking the water.
Yeah.
No one lives there. There is no water, right? Like there's no water table to go into. That's why nuclear waste is stored in some of these areas. Listeners at home, pull up the Superfund Wikipedia. They have a photo of it. That's Love Canal up there in the northeast. And this is all those chemical plants. This big fucking New England red dot is all the chemical plants that existed in that time period. And the Superfund has worked to clean up since. See, it's all...
Hey, look, there's us.
There's us. And it's intercoastal. This is happening because this is where the chemical barges are moving around. There's not a lot going on in here, but that's because that's agrarian, and you're talking about fertilizer and stuff like that that's leaking out, right? Or LP gas or coal. These are minor scenarios as far as the Superfund is concerned. When you get into like the Appalachian region, you're talking about runoff from the coal stuff. When you get into Texas, you're largely talking about natural gas stuff. Or chemical plants. Our little part of the world has a big red dot right on it, and also the area around Shreveport. Oil and gas and chemicals, right? So this is the highlight of this story, is that the Superfund comes out of this. If you've ever had to deal with the EPA for any reason, this is what started it. The Love Canal disaster was so horrendous to people, and they were caught so unaware that most of how we now handle chemical spills, not even for America, but sometimes for other countries, because America like exports our way of doing things. starts here. Like, so imagine you're like a 1970s factory worker. You're a union dad, and you're coming home to your wife that might be a teacher in the school, or she might work in a factory in the area, nurse, maybe she stay at home, your 2.5 kids, and then someone tells you that the land your house is built next to, the puddles your kids splash around in when it rains, the playground that your children go to, the school that they're in, is 1,000 times deadlier than the lowest, what is currently EPA warning.
Jesus.
Like, how do you fucking deal with that? Like, this is also, like, I imagine that these people's best understanding of how toxic sludge and stuff can be is, like, movies about radiation, right? Or, like, hippies might have had, like, the toxic, the chemicals they're dumping in the thing. You know, like, if you were kind of a hippie, you might know a little bit about this.
Oh, my God.
But in this generation, between, like, the 1950s and the 1970s, the whole world is learning what chemical plants and their presidents and their engineers have known for years. This is also, like, the time period where, like, big tobacco is getting busted. And they've known since, like, the 30s that these products cause cancer. They really are shitheads. All of them. I mean, like, all of them. Every time you look at one of these things, you just kind of go, like, wow, you fucks are the devil. I mean, really, like, they know. When you look at pictures of the 55-gallon drums that are holding a lot of these chemicals, the chemicals that they put in the steel drums corrode steel.
Yeah, they eat through it.
So there's holes in the fucking barrels.
God.
Some of the big tanker stuff, the big, like, silo looking things were so shallow in the ground that when there's a ground collapse, because the fucking because the clay's all been eroded, so now there's air gaps in the soil, so there's a ground collapse, that they're visible. So by the time this construction's done, these things are only like 7 feet underground. This is like, when an earthquake happens and a dead body's visible. Like, it's like that kind of...
That's fucking... So, that contract makes scary sense, but also fuck you. Like, you just flicked off all of that responsibility.
Yeah.
Like, knowing, like, especially people in that industry probably have a better grasp of construction.
Yeah.
In general than, like, the layman or me. Like, I know that you have to dig down to build up.
At some point, like, pipe fitters and plumbers, right?
Yeah.
We're on a construction site and they were like, yeah, put a pipe from here to here. And they don't fucking know, right? Like, they might be like, don't go over this area. But I've been on construction sites, right? They tell you, like, yeah, it needs to go from here to here, and then you just, like, dig it.
Yeah, you A-B.
And do the thing.
It's not...
Yeah, you're trying to get out of there fast, right? Like, typically speaking, some of these jobs are hard dollar, and so you don't get paid more per hour. You just get paid.
Yeah.
And so, like, your company wants you out of there quick.
It's a set per diem.
Yeah, and there's, like... If you run over, yeah, your benefits might drop out or whatever, but certainly your boss is concerned that their company's not going to make any more money past this deadline.
Yeah.
So they come in and they want to do things fast. When we look at the clay dome, it's pierced. It's dug into, it's pierced. There's a whole fucking 2-story building on top of it, so it's cracked in half. God. Like, if you told me that the fucking swamp thing walked out of the canal, I'd be like, yeah, all right. That's probably that kid with the second set of teeth.
Oh my God.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, fuck, dude. But all right, so we are now at 1 hour and 25 minutes. I think that's probably a pretty good place to stop.
I agree. That is insane.
My God.
Jesus. Well, thanks. Oof.
Yeah, if you live anywhere, you can contact, typically speaking, your local EPA or land management office and get a little sampler kit for the water in your area. Wildlife services always need help and volunteers with getting water samples from the local area. Please do so, because you never know. You might be sitting on top of parts per million of fucking benzene, like
Christ.
Just the fucking, oh my god, yeah, it makes me so mad. But EPA bad guy. We can't be having oil go up. Price of oil go up. We can't. EPA take job away. Oh my god.
EPA keep human alive.
Yeah, that's right.
EPA keep world spinning.
We really are the fucking Yeah.
Yeah.
Give the Native Americans some fucking land back. Like we have not been good at.
No.
We've not been good stewards.
So if nothing else, today you have learned a thing.
You've learned a thing.
It's not been a fantastic thing. In fact, it's been a rather horrifying thing. But you have learned a thing. And the more that we educate ourselves, the more weapons we have to keep shit like this from happening again.
Okay. Signing off. Fuck.